All right, my Franklin Foxes, it's your favorite art teacher again, Mr. David, back in my art studio. Have a special project that we're gonna teach you about today. This is involving a very famous artist, a very special artist, probably one of the most famous artists that has ever lived. In fact, he's probably the artist who has done more paintings and more drawings than any other artist that has ever lived. And I don't know the exact number, but I know it's in the thousands. He's created thousands of pictures. So everybody knows Vincent van Gogh, right? The Starry Night artist, and Leonardo da Vinci. But Pablo Picasso is probably the greatest modern artist that everybody knows. And most people, when they think of Pablo Picasso, they think of like his really crazy pictures with like one eye way up here and another eye down here, right? Looking sideways, and these faces that are all just mixed up and super colorful and just really crazy, like almost like monster pictures or something like that. That's usually what they think of. But an interesting thing about Pablo Picasso is that he was an amazing artist when he was a kid. Even by the time he was 13, 14 years old, he could have been a professional. He was that good. And I'm going to show you some pictures that he did when he was much younger that were very detailed. But Picasso did something that not very many artists were doing, and that's why he's so big and he's so famous. But his style was very simple, something that you and I can create very easily. And so we have a fun project, really fun project that we're going to do today that will help you recreate a Picasso style picture, but do it in a fun, almost like game-like way, right? So for this project, you're going to need a paper, a pencil. Hopefully you have something to color with, whether it's paints or colors or crayons, something like that. And you will need a dice, okay? This is a dice game. So we're gonna use a dice to create some really cool, fun Picasso style portraits. So we're gonna need that. But Picasso, when you're that good, that young, and where do you go from there, right? It's not like some of the other masters who had to train their whole lives, right? And then by the time they were old enough and professional enough that they could sell their paintings, they were good, but it took a lifetime for them to master. Picasso was a little bit different. He was such a talented artist from the very beginning that he didn't want to keep doing the exact same thing and just creating like nice detailed pictures. He wanted to kind of break the mold. He wanted to challenge what the art world was doing. And so him, along with a few other artists, started changing their style and do things very, very differently, right? And that's where we start getting these faces and these pictures of musicians and guitars and stuff like that are all twisted and messed up. And that was because he was breaking the art rules that were known at the time, and some artists didn't like him for that. They didn't appreciate what he was doing. They didn't think that it was art, and you see that a lot. As soon as someone kind of breaks the mold of what everyone else is doing, at first everyone was just like, "That's not art. That's not real." But eventually, like, everyone starts to love it. It starts to catch fire, and it starts to go viral. And that's kind of what happened with Picasso. He was so prolific. Prolific is where you just like keep putting things out. And he just loved art so much, and he was having so much fun with this style that he could do so many fun things with it so very quickly, that he was able to create thousands of artworks during his life. So I think this is going to be a fun project for you. Pablo Picasso portraits. I've got a few papers that will be in the Google Classroom that you guys will need to check out, that you guys will need to look at. And I'm going to do a demonstration here, kind of a demo to show you like how we're going to do it and what it's going to look like. So you can kind of see my crazy Picasso portrait as well. All right, let's get started. This will be fun. All right, here's a portrait of what Picasso looks like as an adult, so you guys can get an idea of what he actually looked like. This is a picture of him when he was older. The next picture that I'm going to show you, this one, is a painting that he did, I believe, when he was 13 years old. And this shows you just the level of detail and how good he was as a 13-year-old kid. I was not this good when I was 13, no way. So Picasso was ahead of the curve. Just a few short years later, he painted this picture called Science and Charity. And this one, again, just really nice detail, very, very good use of models. I believe some of his family members were the models in this one. But it just shows you how good he was as a kid. This next little picture kind of shows how his style has changed through the years. So here is a self-portrait when he was 15 years old. And then here's a picture of himself when he was 25 years old. And then at 89 years old, the differences in the style, right? And how much they've changed and evolved into his style, his way of drawing and creating. He uses a lot of shapes and patterns and odd angles and putting things in weird places and changing the directions of things that you'll see here on some of these portraits. These are some of his famous ones, right? Look at the bright colors and just how many things are happening in this picture. All the different angles and blocks and stuff. The style that he and another artist created was called Cubism. And it's where it just looks like things are broken down into cubes or simple shapes and kind of flat shapes, kind of intersecting and crossing over. This is one of my favorites of his. This is called The Three Musicians. Love this picture. But that gives you an idea of Picasso and the kind of works that he was creating. All right, you guys, we are ready to start our Picasso Roll a Dice project. Okay, so hopefully you found a dice. If you borrowed it from one of your family games, make sure that you put that back. I hate it when that happens, when we pull out dice from a game and then we forget to put it back. That's always frustrating. Then we can't play the game later on, right? But the format is really easy for this project. So we've got a few things, and you could change these if you want to, but we've got the number of the dice right here. And then we have like a bunch of these different head and ear shapes, different nose shapes. And if you notice, they're all kind of crazy, right? We want them to look crazy. Picasso pictures were very unique, right? As we looked through some of the pictures of the portraits that Picasso had done, many of them had very, very interesting facial features. They had weird eyes and weird noses, and they were all in different places. So remember that as we put this together, right? So we've got our mouths right here. We've got one eye right here, one eye right here. So just to kind of give you an idea of how this would work and how we would do the game, we're going to roll a dice, right? So 5. So on the head shape, I would come down here and I would look at, okay, number 5, we're going to draw that, right? And so we want to fill up our whole paper as much as we can with the face. So when we draw this, we're going to draw, whoa, my marker's kind of dying. No, I hate it when that happens. It's a brand new marker. It just sat out too long. There we go. Right, and I can change this. So his ear kind of goes backwards on this one. Right, so we're going to make it go inside instead of going outside. And then this ear kind of hangs out a little bit outside and a little bit inside. Now, right now, these ears are straight across, and if I had done that a little bit differently, I probably would have put this one up a little bit higher or down a little bit lower, so they're not right across from each other. So just remember that as you guys are building these, try to put them in abnormal places, right? So, all right, next we're going to go to the nose. So we're going to roll our dice, and we're going to do a number 4 nose, right? Now, I don't have to put this in the normal spot of the nose. I don't have to stick it right there. I can stick it off to the side. I can put it up a little bit higher. I can put it down lower. I think on this one, I'm gonna do it a little bit to the side and a little bit lower. So we're gonna make it go like this. Right, with these kind of portraits, there's no rules that say you have to do it a certain way. All right, so there's our nose. Now we're gonna do our mouth. Let's see which mouth we get. Number 2. Ooh, the one with the little snake mouth in there, right? So this mouth is kind of going this way. So I'm gonna start it right here by the nose like we would see it. Give him a little bit longer of a tongue right there, right? So already looking kind of weird, right? All right, now we're gonna go to eye number 1. Now, one of the things you can do with these portraits is you can make some things bigger and some things smaller. So I'm gonna make one eye kind of bigger. So I'm gonna take this number 3 eye and I'm gonna do this one right here and I'm gonna make it really big. And then the next one I'll do a little bit smaller. Okay, and then he's got this cool, I'm gonna flip it the other way since this eye's on this side. So I'm gonna make the big part go this side. Right, and then this is all colored in too. All right, already looks very weird, huh? All right, next eye is also number 3. I'm gonna change it. So sometimes you guys can, it's not like a real game. There's no like cheating. If you don't like one, re-roll it. Do it again. All right, this one's gonna be number 4. So that's a little bit different. I'm gonna actually, yeah, I was gonna see, let's see if we can get one that's a different shape because these are kind of the same shape, the 3 and the 4. So number 1 has more of the diamond shape. So I'm gonna do that one. And instead of doing straight across like we would do on a normal face, I'm gonna draw this eye a little bit higher and smaller. Right? So already there's the basis for our portrait. Now, you guys get to do the creative part, right? You guys get to decide what kind of hair is this person gonna have, right? So what if we, since we're doing a Mr. David art project, what if we turn this one into a Picasso Mr. David portrait, right? So it looks like Mr. David. But you guys could do yourself. You guys could do one of your brothers or sisters or one of your parents or some other famous person. Yeah, you have all kinds of options of different things that you can do. So since this is going to be a Mr. David one, we're going to give Mr. David some spiky hair. Now, it doesn't have to look like my normal hair, right? Right? So my normal hair is a little bit spiky, but I made this like really like big spiky, right? And then of course, what's the picture? If I draw a picture of myself on the board in class, what's the number 1 thing I have to put on there? Of course, it's my beard. Yeah, my beard. right? And then you can put in like lines, or you guys could put in patterns. There's no wrong way to do this. Like I could do up here and just start drawing like cool patterns and designs in here too, just to make it more interesting. And they don't even have to be like the same patterns. Like I could do different patterns all across here. All right. So the more detail and stuff that you can add to it, the better it's going to look. So let's do one more here. Let's see. Kind of make it look kind of crazy here, huh? Now, if there's other details that you want to put on, let's say I want to add like a bottom lip to this. I can do that. We can add, I added the beard to this part, but I didn't add it to this. So what if, normally, if this is your bottom lip, then your beard starts under your bottom lip there, right? Right here. So my bottom lip is right here, and then my beard starts. So it'll look better if we add that. And we can add whatever we want. There's no rules that say, oh, we have to do it this way. So let's see. Let's do, I like diamonds. Let's do diamonds. Something like that, right? Now, we could add a widow's peak. So some people have like the hair that comes down a little bit into their forehead, so it doesn't look like we just have like a bald forehead there. Now, what's the other thing that we got to add to this, right? We don't want just a floating head in the picture. So we've got to add some kind of a body. So we can add a neck. So let's say we've got the neck. Now, because it's a Picasso, right? Things don't have to even up. So I can make this part go that way. I can make this part come down lower, right? And then I could put in like a t-shirt or a shirt or something like that. But I can use all straight lines if I wanted to. Or make some curve. I could draw more patterns in here, right? I could draw something in the background. Let's say maybe it's even just far away. Maybe we're in like the forest or something, right? And then we're gonna make some Picasso style trees. right? And maybe, yeah. So you guys could add like your own thing. Like maybe you're at a park, maybe you're in the mountains, maybe you're in outer space, right? There's no rules. It's whatever your creativity says that you can do. So add your own stuff to this. All right, so you guys can add in details. You guys can connect lines or whatever so that they're easier to color when we do the coloring part of this. Normally I would color this just with like watercolors or acrylics or that sort of thing. But to make it a little bit faster, I'm gonna take a picture of it on my iPad and then paint it using my iPad. The cool thing about the iPad is it does this really cool time-lapse thing like you guys have seen with like the Baby Yoda and other pictures that I've done. So we can check that out. But yeah, color these up really nice. Like I said, you can connect some of these different things. You can color them better. You can add patterns to each side. You could add different bright colors, right? If you look at a lot of Picasso's work, he uses so many different bright colors. So we can just add like all kinds of cool colors and stuff to this. I'll probably change a little bit of this chin too, because normally the beard would come up to the bottom lip and you wouldn't see the chin line. So I'll probably cover some of that up. So there'll be a few changes that I make to it, but overall I'll keep it the same. But have fun with this, okay, guys? Use your dice or your die. I've said that wrong so many times. Use your die. One die, many dice. One die is single, and then many dice is plural. So just remember, I'm an art teacher, not an English teacher, but I can still say things right. Sometimes I just got to remember, right? So use your die. Create your own if you want to create your own, or just follow the one that I've set up for you. But have a lot of fun with this and go crazy. All right, have fun, you guys.